What you'll experience now is not a presentation, it's a thinking laboratory. And I invite you to bring a real leadership challenge into the room and use it throughout the session. You can prepare your pen and piece of paper and put your phones aside, because it doesn't make sense to do the same thing and hope for different results, right? So don't let your friends and your colleagues miss you. This is good for their resilience. Meet my son. His name is Sasha. He is 6 years old, and he lives with me in Kuchin in Sarawak. By the way, when you're in Sarawak, in Kuchin, let me know. I'll bring you to eat the best laksa in Kuchin. So my son experienced 4 disappointments in less than 2 hours recently. He wanted ice cream, no ice cream. He wanted a game on the phone, it wasn't possible. He wanted to sit on the swing, it was occupied. He wanted a toy, it wasn't available. Every time he said, "What a bummer," and he moved on. And I watched him carefully. And I realized something uncomfortable. Most of the leaders whom I coach would still be thinking about disappointment number 1, while my son was living his happy life after disappointment number 4. And I became curious. What happens between age of 6 and adulthood? How do we acquire this ability to suffer when we don't get what we want? As kids pass through certain stages of development, adults do the same. But for kids, it means gaining more knowledge. For adults, it means being more aware of themselves, of others, and the world. And at the same time, we get the ability to generate unhelpful thoughts, to create our mental noise. And the truth is that smart leaders don't struggle because they lack intelligence. They struggle because their thinking becomes noisy. And now I would like to pause and ask you the question: what situation is taking the most mental energy from you right now? Think about it and just write down for yourself, just in one sentence, what is that event or situation that takes most of your energy currently? Write it down for yourself so you don't forget, because we will come back to it later as we move on in this masterclass. Our brain is a data powerhouse which processes information and filters information most of the time out of our awareness. Our brain is processing 11 million bits of information per second. However, only 50 out of 11 million is actually processed consciously in our awareness. So it matters what we throw in our mind, what thoughts we throw in our mind, because it generates how we feel, it generates our emotions. And what happens in the reality? The event happens once, but we experience it hundreds of times by thinking about it over and over again. It becomes like a washing machine. Raise your hand if it sounds familiar. Right. And now, think about the situation which you wrote down for yourself. How many times have you mentally replayed it this week? Once, maybe 10 times, maybe 50, 100 of times? Write down for yourself this figure. How often did you think about the same situation over and over? And what helped Sasha not to stick to his disappointments? Sasha didn't see 4 failures. He saw 4 events, 4 facts. Everything what is happening in the world is neutral. it's not good, it's not bad, and we interpret these events, which are neutral, the way we think, the way we are. And every day we create mental stories for ourselves, and we see the reality through the lens of these mental stories. And these mental stories create our emotions, and those generate our actions or inactions. We see things through our biases, what we like or what we resist to. And we look for confirmation always. There are two ways to see the world. First, some people see the thing that they want, and second way, some people see the thing that prevents them from the thing that they want. Option 1 or option 2 depends on whether you are ready to change your thinking strategy and choose your thoughts consciously. Let's pause here, and I would like to ask you, raise your hand if you want more money. Raise your hand if you want more success. Raise your hand if you want a better reputation. Amazing. So the truth is that we don't want to be better. We don't want better relationship. We don't want success. We don't want money. What we want is to feel better. And now, get back to your situation which you wrote down for yourself, which you were replaying over and over again. When you think about this situation, which emotion is most present for you? Is it anger? Is it resentment? Anything else? What is that emotion that is most present for you about this situation that you replay over and over again? Write it down, and we'll park it there. We'll come back to it. So most of the time we think that when we get success, when we get money, when we have relationship, we get clarity, and then we will have calm and irrepressible mind. While the truth is that first, we develop our calm and irrepressible mind. From this mind, we develop calmness, clarity, and then we feel better. And as a strategic side effect, we get more success, more money, and more relationship. I often hear this question, what is calm and irrepressible mind, when I coach executives and we talk through it? There are two components of it, thinking capacity and inner state. And today, in this workshop, we will work on two components of this. The research of Jamie Will and Stephen Kotler, who wrote the book Still in Fire, I highly recommend to read it. They say that to get a calm and irrepressible mind is the third largest economy in the world. We pay $4 trillion to achieve calm and irrepressible mind. So we often think that when I have something, then I will do something, and then I will be something, which in the reality leads us to stagnation. What works for us long term is first, we must become something before we do something, and do something before we have something. This is a famous model of be, do, have. First, we generate our be, from which we do things, and then we have something. Here's an example. We think, when I have more time, I'll spend it with my family and I'll be a better parent. Becomes, I need to be the best parent now, so I must reduce my working hours to be more present, to develop great relationship with my family. You see the difference, right? Two completely different thinking strategies. So why was Sasha moving on so quickly and didn't feel any disappointment? Because he was in his B state of calm and irrepressible mind. And we're all born with this, like pure diamonds. But as we grow, we think about different situations over and over and feed our uncomfortable emotions. And here, before we jump into the technique that I would like to share with you, I really like what Morpheus said. I'm trying to free your mind now, but I can only show you the door, and you are the one that has to walk through it. So what I'm doing here, I'm showing you the door, and you are the one who will need to walk through it. So before we do the exercise and the practice of Emerald, I'll tell you what Emerald stands for. It's important to distinguish where is the fact and where is our thinking, where is interpretation. Raise your hand if you think that the statement, my work is hard, is a fact. So it's interpretation. Raise your hand if you think that my partner does not respect me is a fact. It's interpretation as well. Raise your hand if you think that his words, you are not good enough, is a fact. It is a fact. The person opened the mouth and said the words. The words itself might not be true, but the fact that he said it, it's a fact. I'm lonely, it's interpretation. There is always not enough money, it's interpretation, it's our thinking. I have 50,000 ringgit on my bank account, it's a fact. Well, I don't have this money so far, but hopefully Leatheronomics will do something about it. He does not love me, it's interpretation. My weight is 65 kg, it's a fact. So you see the difference between interpretations and the facts. And here I would like to introduce you to Emerald. Leaders don't lead from events, from situations, they lead from meanings, from their interpretations. Emerald has 3 parts. First part, when we analyze the situation and we break down the situation in event, neutral fact that happened, someone said something, or email said something, or etc. Then we create meaning of it, then we experience an emotion, and then we react from it, and it brings us to some results. And at the end, we see whether it brings us to destruction or to love. And the second part is when we do the reverse exercise, when we identify what is that emotion in the same situation with the same fact, which we cannot change, I would like to feel maybe calmness, maybe indifference. Okay, if I would like to feel this emotion, what could I think instead what I was thinking about? And then what would be the new reaction? And then what would be the new actual result? And then will it bring love towards myself or destruction? And then third part of this exercise is we ask filtering questions, kind of calibrating with ourselves. This thought that I created for myself instead of initial one that gave me this calmness, is it true for me? Because we're not aiming for affirmations. We're trying to find something what is true for us. Is this thought that supports me? And either love towards myself when I think this way. And now let's practice. I'll give you some examples from my clients' cases and coaching. So event was, my stakeholder said that he disagrees with my suggestion. So this was the fact. The person opened the mouth and said this word, I disagree with your suggestion. And what my client said, how he interpreted these words was, I'm not delivering at my best. And what he felt? Disappointment. And his reaction was, he started to defend himself. And actual result was that he started to over-explain and protect his position and his suggestion. It led to destruction at the end. And then we did in coaching session this exercise Emerald, reverse Emerald. And then the event remains unchanged, it's a fact. And I asked him, what is a new emotion that you would like experience instead of disappointment? He said, well, I would like to feel like more interested in what he said, why, and understand his rationale. And then I asked him, okay, if you want to be more interested in what he said, what could you think instead of, I'm not delivering at my best? And he said, well, I could think that he might have a wise and useful perspective. And then the new reaction out of interest was that he wanted to learn more about his view. And the actual result was that he started to ask questions, and it led to rather love than distraction. Another case I had with my client is where the fact was that VP made a decision without consulting with my client, who was a deputy. And the meaning he created of this fact of made decision, but by his boss, he said he does not trust me. And his emotion was resentment. Out of this emotion, he started to distance from him. And actual result was that he didn't engage in conversation with him. It led to distraction and distance between both of them. Then we did the reverse emerald, and I asked him, how would you like to feel instead? Instead of this resentment, he said, well, I would like to feel calmness. Okay, I asked him, what could you think instead of your initial thought that he does not trust me? He said, I could think he has the right to do so because he's VP and he is authorized to make decisions without consulting with me. And then I asked him, okay, so what would be your reaction then from this calmness? He said, approaching him, and the actual result was to learn more about his decision and its rationale, to be more curious about it. And it led to love rather than distraction. So by this exercise, I taught my clients to expand their thinking capacity and to demonstrate to their brain other options, other alternatives of thoughts that could also pop up in their head. But because they used to think this way, they, on autopilot, fall into autopilot thoughts. And now I invite you to practice. Take this situation which you wrote down for yourself, which you play over and over again, that creates uncomfortable emotions, and by your thoughts, you feed these uncomfortable emotions. And ask yourself, what was the event? Try to distinguish between the fact and your interpretation. This is the most common mistake we all do. We take interpretation as a fact. But fact is something that you can bring to the court and it can serve as evidence. So scan your fact through this question. Would it be evidence at the court? This is the best way to learn how to distinguish fact from interpretation. As you have the fact for yourself, ask yourself, which thought did appear in your mind when this happened? What did you think about this event? How did you interpret it for yourself? And then, as you write it down, which emotions do arise for you? What do you feel? Does it bring something uncomfortable, tension? Try to understand what kind of emotion is it. Resentment, anger, some other discomfort. And then what was the reaction? How did you react out of this emotion? Where did it lead you to your urge that you wanted to bring in the room, in this conversation, if it was a conversation, or reply to an email, or anything else? And what was the result? Where did this all bring you to? And this result, did it bring love towards yourself, towards others, or destruction? Are you still following? Raise your hand if you're following. Okay, great, thank you. So you might feel a bit uncomfortable if you do this exercise right now, a bit fast, but you'll have also some time to practice it. And we don't need to wait for big events to happen to practice it. Any situations, even small, someone just parked in front of you, and you're thinking, damn, why he did this? So this is already a good trainer for us. These small situations, which are happening daily, that create uncomfortable emotions, we can practice on these situations and do this emerald. So now, instead of this emotion that you experienced in your situation, what emotion would you like to feel? I often hear calmness or indifference. Yeah, this is the most common emotions I hear from my clients in coaching. So what it would be for you in your situation? How would you like to feel? And what could you think instead of your initial thought that could give you this emotion? What other alternative thinking is possible for you? And then, what would be the reaction out of this emotion? How would you react? Would you like to rather approach the person and engage and be involved? And then, would it lead to love or destruction? Most probably, when you reframe your thoughts and you demonstrate to your brain alternative thinking, usually it leads to love. And then, this is the most important part. To create your thought library, you need to collaborate with yourself, your inner belief system. The thought that you created for yourself that brings this calmness, let's say, is it true for yourself? Do you really believe this? Does this thought support you? Either laugh towards yourself when you think this way. So that these are three key questions you can ask yourself. And often, with my clients and coaching sessions, we might spend half an hour just calibrating. Because it might turn out that the thought that initially they chose to think instead was not really true for them, was not within their belief system. So we play it over and over again. What else? What else? What else? Until they feel, yes, this is mine. I believe it. It's about me. So we tackled the thinking capacity part of calm in irrepressible mind. And it might be quite difficult to do this practice emerald if your amygdala is hijacked. Yeah, if we are in fire, if we experience intense emotions, then the best we can do for ourselves is apply wise leadership. Wise leadership is ability to regulate emotions and recover from strong and intense emotions. When we experience strong emotions, our prefrontal cortex, which is here in the lobe zone, stops working. Amygdala and PFC, prefrontal cortex, are not able to work simultaneously. One is on, another one is off. So we need to come down first. We can do emerald. What we can do to ground ourselves. And I share here just a very little, very short list of the techniques. There are plenty of them, and I'm sure many of them you know. Box breathing technique. You imagine a square, and you breathe in, you hold, you breathe out, you hold. You breathe in, you hold, you breathe out, you hold. There is a technique 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you intentionally focus on 5 things you can see, maybe you define, like, I want to define things which are blue, and you find 5 blue things. 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can feel. And you will immediately notice how much calmness you feel. There is this cue, deep, slow breathing, which activates our vagal nerve. There is Jacobson muscular relaxation technique. You can find it on YouTube, guided practice, really amazing, that helps to stop this vicious circle of threat signal which are sent to our brain from muscles and from muscles to brain back. And obviously meditation. Meditation helps with noticing things and letting go. We notice our thoughts like clouds and we let them go. And I invite you to do a small practice right now. I hope it will work. Team, can you help me to play the video? This is a breathing technique that can help us to calm down. And I would be curious what comes up for you if we manage, if we manage to play it and do it together. Let me know if it doesn't work. Okay. We can skip the ad. We don't need this. It's not that one. Not that one.
At Food Panda, we're on a mission to make life delicious. Because some days the sun can feel...
Well, like in the movie, first we need to watch all the ads before we move on to the movie. So the same approach. Okay, just follow the guidance here. We can pause here. We can pause here. Thank you. Now try to notice what comes up for you. Raise your hand if you feel that you feel more calmness. Raise your hand if your thoughts become more silent. Yeah, this is the magic of breathing techniques, and this is what you can practice wherever you are. Can I get back to my slides, please? So what can you start with? With this question: am I the person I want to be right now? This question brings us back to who we intend to be, not only what we're doing. This is a moment of truth with yourself. This is a pause button on your autopilot we're all running every day. And you can use this question in different situations, when you have difficult conversations, tough decisions, stressful day, and you will notice how much will shift for you. And I have 2 news for you. Obviously, one bad and one good. I will start with bad one. Your leadership impact will never exceed your thinking capacity and your CQ. Why bad? Because some people don't really expand their thinking capacity. They don't really do something to expand their thinking capacity and explore alternative thoughts that could help them to make wise decisions. And many people know what EQ is, what IQ is. Raise your hand if you know what CQ is. Look it up. Let it be your homework. I like to give homeworks for my clients as well. And the good news is the neuroscience confirmed that our brain has neuroplasticity. So we are able, by discipline, regularity, and training, to build new neuroconnections. And for this, we need from 65 to 290 days. This explains why work in coaching takes time. It's not a single session, it's a journey. So, what helped Sasha to move on so quickly? He really didn't stick to the events. He was in his B state, and he kind of unconsciously used one of the 6 transformational capacities: passionate detachment. He didn't stay attached to the interpretations and stories. And what helped Sasha to increase his awareness about himself, about others, about the world? Obviously, his mom, executive coach, and these 3 questions, which we exchange every evening before going to bed. What did make you happy today? What did make you angry today? And who are you grateful to and for what? What is there for adults to increase their awareness and create new meanings as we grow? Coaching is a magical approach to expand your thinking capacity, to get clarity. Clarity about self, about the situation you are in, and about the impact you are making. And coaching is a space where you can practice Emerald technique, which I shared with you today, deeply, where your ego softens and where you connect with yourself. And I would like to emphasize that leadership clarity is not about controlling events. We all want to control something. But leadership clarity is about not becoming trapped by the meanings you automatically attach to events. This is the question I would like you to walk away with and reflect. What disappointment or assumption are you still carrying today that your 6-year-old self would have already let go? Take this question with yourself, think about it. It's quite powerful. And now I would like to play a demo of my conversation with AI coach on Emerald. So I trained AI coach to coach me using this technique. I hope that we have enough sound.
Hello, Elena. How can I be helpful today?
Hi, Ash. I would like to explore a situation which happened some time ago where I was holding a leadership role, managing a team of 13 people, and there was a performance review, and my manager gave me a feedback saying that their team performance results are not consistent.
Okay, so the event is your manager saying your team's performance results are not consistent. What meaning did you make of that in the moment?
I thought that he thinks I'm incompetent as a leader.
And when you thought that, what emotion came up for you?
I felt hurt and a bit angry.
When you felt that hurt or anger, what was your reaction and what action did you take?
I withdrew and I wanted at the same time to defend myself. And my actions were that after the conversation, I became more controlling leader and I started to micromanage my team, overcorrect, and it created some tension.
And did that create love or disruption?
I believe it created some disruption and it affected also the trust level we had in the team.
Okay, now, how would you like to feel in that situation instead of hurt and angry?
Instead, I would like to feel calm and open to feedback.
If you wanted to feel calm and open, what meaning would you make of your manager's feedback instead?
Instead, I think I could think that feedback is information. It's about improving and developing and not really judging me as a leader.
Does that meaning pass your 3 filters? Is it true for you? Does it support you? And does it give you love toward yourself?
Yes, there is definitely support in thinking this way, and I feel it is more with self-compassion towards myself.
From that place of calm and openness, what would your reaction and action be instead?
I would ask my manager clarifying questions and to learn more about his thinking and rationale behind this feedback. And also, my action would be together with my team to co-create a plan and to have some clarity about how we take this forward and create some alignment.
And what does that create in the environment? Love or disruption?
Definitely, it creates more love rather than disruption and more support towards myself as well as towards my team.
Good. So leadership in that moment is about taking ownership of the meaning you create and separating it from the event itself, which is neutral. That's how influence grows. Hello, Elena. How can I be helpful today?
Hi,
we can
Ash.
pause
I would
here.
like to.
So this is the demo, very superficially, I would say, of the conversation with AI coach. And in coaching sessions, we have like 1 hour to take just one situation and explore these from different angles. So my final message is, don't get stuck in mental stories. Don't be trapped by your thoughts. Learn how to choose your thoughts consciously. These 50 thoughts that we are thinking consciously out of 11 million. Reach out to coaching and reach out to me if you would like to have a comprehensive guiding document on Emerald and this practice that I shared with you. Here are my contacts. Thank you for your attention. I hope it was helpful.